Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to secure routers on Cisco Packet Tracer. As we all know, it's important to protect your network from attacks over the internet by keeping your router secure. Your router directs traffic between your local network and the internet. So it's your first line of defense for guarding against such attacks. If you don't take steps to secure your router, strangers could gain access to sensitive personal or financial information on your device. Strangers also could seize control of your router to direct you to fraudulent websites. Now I'll show you how to secure a router. Before we do that, first we need to create two small networks on Cisco Packet Tracer. To create two small networks, first I will select network devices, then routers, and from this list, I will select 1841 routers. After that, we will select two switches for our networks. In this example, I'll use 2960. Also, I will select two PCs, and then we will connect all the devices by using copper straight-through cable. So you can click on this Thunderbolt option, and as you can see here, it's the second one from the left, copper straight-through cable. Click on PC 0, select Fast Ethernet 0, and then Fast Ethernet 01. Again, click on PC 1, Fast Ethernet 0. Same way, we will connect these two PCs to the switch. And then we will connect the switch to the router. I'm trying to show everything step by step, so it's going to be very easy for you to do this example on your own. Now, the first thing we will do, we will assign IP addresses to these devices. Let me just quickly create a boundary for these two networks. This is the first one, and this is the second one. Now I will type the IP address of these two networks. Let's assume the first IP address is 192.168.1.0. That is the IP address of the first network. And the IP address of the second network is 192.168.2.0. Now, let's just assume the IP address of the first device is 1.2. As you can see, the network address is same, 192.168.1, 192.168.1. For these devices, we are selecting, we are writing 2. For the second PC, let's assume the IP address is 192.168.1.3. And the IP address for the router is 192.168.1.1. Same way, let's assume the IP address of PC2 is 192.168.2.2, PC3 192.168.2.3, and the router is 192.168.2.1. Now we will assign these IP addresses. Click on PC0 and this window will open on the screen. Click on desktop, click on IP configuration, type 192.168.1.2. Subnet mask will come up by itself. Default gateway will be 192.168.1.1. Close the window, click on PC1, click on desktop, click on IP configuration, type 192.168.1.3. Subnet mask will come up by itself. Type 192.168.1.1 as default gateway. Click on PC2, click on desktop, IP configuration, type 192.168.2.2. Subnet mask will come up by itself. Default gateway will be 192.168.2.1. Same way, click on PC3, click on desktop, IP configuration, type 192.168.2.3, click on subnet mask, it will come up by itself, and the default gateway will be 192.168.2.1. Let's just check the connectivity between devices. Click on PC0, click on command prompt. Now we will ping PC1 from PC0. So type ping space 192.168.1.3, enter. We're getting successful replies from PC1. Let's check the connectivity between PC2 and PC3. Click on PC2, click on command prompt. Now we will ping PC3 from PC2. So type ping space 192.168.2.3, enter. And you will see that we're getting successful replies from PC3. Let's close the window. Now we need to configure our routers. Before we configure our routers, we need to connect these routers by using serial DTE, but we don't have the ports for serial DTE or serial cable. If you click on router 0, you will see this window. You need to zoom in, and then you will see we have 2 empty slots here. Turn the router off, click on WIC2T. You can drag it and drop it here and turn it on. We have connected, we have installed a WIC2T. If you want to know a little bit more about this port, there is a description here. It says the dual serial port WAN interface cards features Cisco's new compact high-density smart serial connector to support a wide variety of electrical interfaces when used with the appropriate transition cable. If you want to know more, you can Google about it. Now let's just close this window. Do the same thing on router 1. Click on router 1 and then zoom in. There are 2 empty slots. Turn it off. Select WIC2T. Drag it and drop it here. Turn it on. Close the window. Now you can select serial DTE. Click on router. Select serial 0/0/0/0. Click on router 1, 0/0/0/0. Now we have connected these 2 routers. Now we will do 2 things here. First, we will configure the router, then we will do routing. So click on router 0, and then click on config, fast Ethernet 0. Click here. We have two ports here. One fast Ethernet 0 and another one is serial 0/0. So for fast Ethernet 0, the IP address will be 192.168.1.1. Click on Subnet Mask and it will come up. Don't forget to turn on this port. As you can see, now it's green. It was before red, now it's green. Same way, click on serial 0/0/0. Let's assume the IP address of this serial port is 12.0.0.2. Click on Subnet Mask, it will come up, and turn on the port. Close it. Let's just write down here the IP address 12.0.0.2 so that we don't forget. Same way, click on this router, click on Config, select Fast Ethernet 0. As we can see, the IP address is 192.168.2.1. Click on Subnet Mask, it will come up by itself. And then click on the port to turn it on. So turn on the port. As you can see, it's green now. Same way, select serial 0/0/0, turn it on, and then click on IP configuration. Let's assume the IP address is 12.0.0.3. Click on the Subnet Mask, it will come up by itself. Make sure to write down the IP address, which is 12.0.0.3. Now we have configured these two routers. Let's check whether the routers are configured or not. Let's just click on PC0, click on command prompt. Now we will ping this router from our PC, from this PC0. So type ping space 192.168.1.1. As you can see, we are getting successful replies from the first router. Let's try the same thing on second router. So click on PC2, click on command prompt. Let's check the connectivity between the PC and the router. So ping space 192.168.2.1, enter. And you will see you're getting successful replies from router 1. Now we will do the routing, because if you try to communicate with PC2 from PC0, it's not going to happen because we haven't done the routing. So click on router 0, click on static. Imagine you are sitting in network 1, you want to communicate with network 2. So you will write down the IP address of network 2. So let's type 192.168.2.0. Click on mask and type 255.255.255.0. And the next hop will be 12.0.0.3. This is going to be the next hop. Add. Now, network 1 is connected with network 2. But we need to let network 2 know that it's connected with network 1. So we need to click on router and then click on static. Imagine you are sitting in network 2, you need to communicate with network 1. Just type 192.168.1.0. Click on mask and type 255.255.255.0. And the next hop will be 12.0.0.2. Now network 2 is connected with network 1 as well. Let's just check the connectivity between these two networks. So click on PC0. Now we will ping PC3 from PC0. So click on command prompt. So type ping space the IP address of PC3, which is 192 168.2.3, enter. It's going to take some time because it's the first time we are pinging from one PC to another. As we can see, we're getting successful reply from PC3. You have sent 4 packets, received 3 packets, loss is only 25%. Now, we have created 2 networks here. We have connected these 2 networks. Now, the main thing, the thing what we are going to do, we're going to try in this lesson is we're going to secure our router. So let's assume that we are going to secure this router, router 0. To do that, I will add a laptop. And I will rename this laptop as administrator. This laptop will be the administrator laptop that will manage the router. Now we need to connect this laptop to the router. So click on this Thunderbolt option, select console cable, which is the first one from the left. Click on administrator laptop, select RS232, and then click on the router, select console port. Now, click on the laptop, click on desktop, click on terminal. The first thing you will see, terminal configuration. We don't need to make any kind of change to this page. Just click on OK. As you can see, that you are successfully logged into the router. Now we are sitting in the user mode. The first thing that I will do, I will change the host name of this router. This router belongs to network 1. So I will make sure that the router host name is network 1. So first, as you can see, we are sitting in the user mode. Type enable, enter. You will go to the privileged user mode. And then type configure terminal, enter. Now you are in the global configuration mode. The first thing we will do, we will change the host name. So type host name network 1. As you can see, we have changed the host name here. Now there are 2 types of access to this network. One is the local access via console port. Another one is the remote access, which is via virtual terminal interface. Now we need to secure these 2 accesses. First, we will secure the local access, which is the console port. So if you type line console 0 and then enter, you will go to line configuration mode. Now we will change the password. I apologize, not change, we will assign a password. So first type password space Cisco, enter. Then type login, enter, and then end. We have successfully assigned a password to the local access or to the console port. If you want to check whether it's working or not, just type exit, enter. As you can see, it's asking for password. If I type Cisco, enter, I am successfully logged into the router. Now I can type enable, enter. I'm in the privileged user mode. I can type configure terminal, enter. Now I am in the global configuration mode. The next thing we will do, we will secure virtual terminal interface for remote access or for Telnet and SSH. So first type line VTY 0 to 4, port 0 to port 4, enter. Now you are in the line configuration mode. Now we will assign the password. In this example, I'm going to use the same password. So the password will be Cisco, enter. Type login, enter, and then end. You have successfully assigned a password for remote access. Now, whatever changes we have made to this router, these changes are stored in a volatile memory. So if the router is rebooted by any reason, this configuration file will be lost because we have created a new configuration file here. Now we need to copy this configuration file to a non-volatile memory. So if your router is rebooted, you will not lose the configuration file. So to save the configuration file to a different destination, to a non-volatile memory, type copy space running config startup config, enter. It's going to ask you the destination file name startup config. Are you sure? Just click on enter, done. You have saved the configuration file to a non-volatile memory, to a secure location. Now we will try to telnet into this router, which means we will try to remotely log into the router. So let's just minimize this window. Click on PC2. Click on command prompt. Let's just check the connectivity between PC2 and router 0 first. So we will type here ping, because we are going to ping the router from PC2. 12.0.0.2, enter. As you can see, you are getting successful replies from the router. Now we will telnet into the router from this PC. So type telnet 192.168.1.1. It's asking for password. Cisco. You have successfully logged into the password. Sorry, to the router. You've successfully logged into the router by using the password we assign for remote access. Now, you are sitting in the user mode. If you try to go to the privileged user mode by typing enable and click on enter, you will see it says no password set. So, which means the enable password is not set on the administrator laptop. So go to the administrator laptop. Now you are sitting in the privileged user mode, as you can see. Type configure terminal, and you will go to the global configuration mode, and then type enable password. We will use the same password for the sake of learning. Just type Cisco, enter, exit. Now let's try on the remote PC. We will try to go to the privileged user mode on the remote PC. Type enable, enter. It's asking for password. Type Cisco. Now you are in the privileged user mode. Now we will implement some more security to the router. As you know that we have used password Cisco. Now the password of the router is a weak password. Also for enable, we use the same password which is Cisco. It's also a weak password. Now we will put a basic layer of security on this router. How to do that? Now you are sitting, now let's go to the administrator laptop. As you can see, you are sitting in the privileged user mode. Go to global configuration mode. And then we will assign type 7 encryption on all the passwords of this router by typing service password encryption. We have successfully put a type 7 encryption on all our passwords. Now let's just check what we have done so far. Type show running config. As you can see, the first thing we have done, we have changed the host name to network 1. We have enabled password type 7 encryption. And also, if you go down, we have assigned a password with a type 7 encryption for console port and also for virtual terminal interface. There is a password with a type 7 encryption. Now the problem is, with this type of encryption, it's not secure anymore. As an example, if you copy this password and paste it on a website called IFM Network Experts, you can easily crack this type 7 encryption. If you want to see how does it look like, I can quickly go to my browser, the web browser, and then I can just Google simply. You can simply Google Cisco password cracker, also known as IFM. On this page, if you just simply copy this password and paste it here, crack password, as you can see, it says Cisco. So it's a problem. And that's why now we are going to use MD5 encryption, which is a lot stronger version of encryption than type 7. How to do that? As you can see, you are sitting in privileged user mode. Configure terminal, enter. Now you are sitting in the global configuration mode. Now we will type enable secret Cisco 1234. Type exit. Now you have successfully put MD5 encryption on all the passwords. If you want to check, just type show running config. As you can see here, you successfully put an MD5 encryption on all the passwords. Now, we also have type 7 encryption. We need to get rid of this type 7 encryption password. To do that, first, go to the global configuration mode. Configure terminal, enter, and then type no, enable password, enter. Now let's check whether we have removed the type 7 encryption or not. So type show running config. As you can see, we only have MD5 encryption. Now we will take this to a higher level security known as AAA. So let's start with authentication, because AAA means authentication, authorization, and accounting. We will start with authentication. So let's just go to the global configuration mode first by typing configure terminal. Now you are in the global configuration mode. Now we will remove direct logging into the console. That's the first thing that we will do. So let's go to the line console mode by typing line console 0. Now we will remove the direct logging. So we'll type no logging, enter. And type logging. If you're not sure what to use, put a question mark and you will see there are two options that we can use, authentication or local. Now we will type logging local and hit enter so that every time someone wants to log into the router will check the local database for the password and account. So type local, enter. And then end. So every time if you try to log into the router will check the local database for the authentic user ID and password. Now let's create an account first. We need to set up a username and password so that we can individualize authentication to the router, which means no more global passwords. Let's all users so that it will help users to have their own user ID and password. So let's start with this one first. So type go to global configuration first, configure terminal, enter. Then type username. I'll type my name here. And then I can use password, privilege, or secret. I'll use secret and then password Cisco, which means Tanvir is going to be the username, password will be Cisco, and by typing secret, I'm specifying the secret for the user, specifying this password as a secret password for the user. In other words, I am putting an MD5 encryption. Enter. Now, you can get out from the global configuration mode and let's see whether we have successfully created a user. As you can see, username Vanveer and password has a secret file encryption or MD5 encryption. This is the password with the encryption or encrypted password. Now, if you keep hitting on enter, then you will see that our line console still has type 7 encryption. Now we need to get rid of this. So go to configuration mode by typing configure terminal, enter, and then type line console 0 to go to the line configuration mode, no password, end. By typing this, you have successfully removed type 7 encryption from the console board. If you want to check that, but just type show running config there is no password with type 7 encryption for the console port or for the local access. We'll just leave it as it is. So let's just check whether everything is working or not properly. It's asking for username. I'll type the username. Asking for password. I'll type the password. Now I am sitting in the user mode. I want to go to the privileged user mode. I'll type enable. And then the password will be Cisco 1234. Now you are in the privileged user mode. Now I have MD5 encryption for my logging. I have MD5 encryption for my privileged mode access. And this is how we have enhanced security greatly on router by using the database built into the router for a specific username and password. Now we can set up administrators on the routers that have different levels of access or different levels of authorization, which means we will give the user better power than other users. To that, in order to do that, we are going to set up a password with a minimum length. So the minimum length of a password should be 10 characters. It's recommended by Cisco. It should be a combination of letters, numbers, special characters, upper cases, lower cases, but no words or family members' names or birthdays. Make sure you don't put all those things. Now, as I say, that we will give the password a minimum length. Also, for your confirmation, the default timeout when you log into a router is 10 minutes. So we will change the default timeout as well. So two things we're going to do. First, we will give a minimum length to the router. And the second thing we will do is we will change the default timeout. In order to do that, just go to the global configuration mode by typing configure terminal, enter. And then type security passwords minimum length 10, enter. From now on, every password you assign, it has to be at least 10 characters. And now we are going to change the default timeout. In other words, if you are inactive for more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes, router will log you out from the system. Now we will select that time as 5 minutes. So type line console 0. So you will go to the line configuration mode, type exec timeout space let's say 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Make it 5 minutes. Enter. You have done this for the local access. Now we will do the same thing for the remote access. So let's just go to global configuration mode by typing configure terminal, enter. Now you're sitting in the global configuration mode. Type line VTY 0 to 4. Now you are in the line configuration mode. Type exec timeout space. Same thing, 5 minutes. Our job is done. So from now on, if you are inactive for, let's say, more than 5 minutes as a local user or a remote user, the router will log you out from the system. Now we will enhance the logging feature a little bit. By now, you must have configured line VTY username and passwords in a local database to enhance the logging feature. Now, I'll give you an example. I believe most of you have faced these kind of things. Let's say you have a bank account. You have logged into your account. And when you were trying to log into your account, you have used username and passwords, wrong username and passwords for more than, let's say, 3 times. After using 3 wrong attempts, or after 3 wrong attempts, you will receive an error message from the bank that your account is locked for the moment. You can try an hour later. We will do something like that. For example, go to global configuration mode by typing configure terminal. We will enhance the login feature by typing logging space block for, let's say, 180 seconds or 3 minutes for 3 wrong attempts within 30 seconds. From now on, your login will be blocked for 3 minutes or 180 seconds if you try 3 times, or if you do 3 failed attempts within 30 seconds. The router will block your login for 3 minutes. So do not use wrong username and passwords for more than 3 times within 30 seconds. Now we also want to create a file where the router will save every successful login and unsuccessful login. To do that, you type login space on failure log. Every time someone tries to log into the router with a wrong user ID and password, router will keep a record of that, all the failed login. Also type login on success. Exit. Which means every time someone successfully logs into the router, router will keep a record of that. Now let's check what we have done so far. Before we do that, type show running config. As you can see here, the first thing first, hostname network 1, and your login will be blocked for 180 seconds if you try 3 failed attempts within 30 seconds. The router will also keep a record of all the failed logins and successful logins. We have enabled password with an MD5 encryption. We have an account which is known as, the name of the account is Tanveer. It has a password with MD5 encryption. Let's try everything. We will create a new account. Let's see how does it work. So type configure terminal. As you can see, we are in the global configuration mode. Let's start from the beginning actually. Type exit. Now it's asking for a username. Remember, we created a user and the name was Tanveer. Enter. Asking for password. Type Cisco. Enter. As you can see, router has saved this access as a successful login. User Tanveer, source 0.0.0.0, and all of the details here. It says March 1, 1993 because we haven't changed the clock. Now, we are sitting in the privileged user mode. Sorry, in the user mode. Now we will go to the privileged user mode by typing enable, enter. It's asking for password. Type Cisco 1234. Now you may have a question, when did we change the password to Cisco 1234 for enable? Remember, when we were putting MD5 encryption for the enable, or when we were enabling password for the enable option for the remote user, we changed the password to Cisco 1234. If you're confused, you can go back to the video, this recording, at the beginning of this recording, and you can watch that. So enter. Now you are successfully logged into the router as a privileged user. Now let's just type configure terminal and you will go to the global configuration mode. And we'll create a new account. Type username space. I'll use my surname for the new user. We'll use MD5 encryption. We'll use the same password, Cisco. Enter. What does it say? Password too short. Must be at least 10 characters. Password not configured. Now, if we type username space my surname secret, and then we will type Alum Cisco as a password. It says password too short, at least 10 characters. Let me just see how many characters we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, so close. Let's type username again, space secret. Type Alum Cisco 2020. Yes, it has successfully accepted the password. Because remember when we changed the length of the password to 10 characters? From that moment, for every new account, if you create a password, it has to be at least 10 characters long. Now, let's just get out from the global configuration mode. And one last time, let's just check show running config, enter. You'll see that we have made all these changes to enhance the security of the router. We have created 2 accounts, one in the name of Alum, another one in the name of Tanveer. And both of these accounts have 2 passwords with MD5 encryption. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the bell icon. So every time I post a new video on my channel, you will be able to watch it. Thank you very much for your patience.